After regulations regarding labeling operations, strict control shall be exercised of labeling issuance for use in drug product labeling operation, or XX labeling bearing lot number or control number should be destroyed if there's any left over there, because they could be mislabeled. Labeling for clinical trials. You are familiar with this, but it's a very important information. There are three types of clinical trials. There's an open label trial, single blind trials, and double blind trials. I want you to understand what they are and how different they are. Okay, if it's open label trials, a trial in which both researchers and the clinical trial participants know which treatment is being administered to the participants. What it means is, if you do a clinical trial, there is the drug, real drug administered, and there's a group also exposed to something called placebo, right? Placebo is a sugar pill, so it's a kind of negative control for the clinical trial. So if doctors and then patients, they both know which one they are being treated with, we call that clinical trial as open label trial. Okay, so the clinical trial drug batch will have that information, if it's a placebo, if it's a drug that is given to them. But if it is a single blind trial, clinical trial test, then the trial in which those administering the drug are aware whether the treatment is active or placebo. So the doctors or the nurses understand which drug they are giving to the patient, the participants, but the participants do not know if they are getting placebo or the real active drug. Okay, if that's the case, the label, okay, so how do you label that? Okay, so the vials and syringes can be labeled with a code or lot number that makes it directly evident to the patient or nurses which compound is being administered. So there's some kind of code that doctors can understand if it's a real drug or it's just a placebo that they are administering to the patient. Okay, but if it's a double-blind trial, it's like a COVID-19 vaccine trials, they were done as double-blind tests. And if that's the case, then both the administrators, the doctors and nurses, and the patients do not know which one they are getting. Okay, so there's no code or nothing they don't understand. Okay, so only the label strategy is, so labeling strategy must be implemented such that the content of the vials, syringes are not known by the physician as administering the drug, but however, later identification by the company conducting the trial is possible. So although doctors and nurses do not know, the patients do not know either while they are giving the injections, but later on, okay, the company can trace that, trace the the patients to see if the patients received the real drug or placebo, and they can go talk to them, okay, if they had any side effect and if they had really the effect of the drug. If there's a vaccine, of course they will ask them, okay, what kind of side effect you had after 1 week, 2nd week, 3rd week, and then they may come and draw blood to see if antibodies being raised or not within a week, 2nd week, 3rd week, and if there was antibody made in the serum of the patients and how long it's going to last. Those kind of results followed up, so the company can know which drug the patients have received. Okay, so example of the label here. So manufacturer, so the name will be appearing on the top, and then for clinical trial use only, that will be written up there. Drug name will be showing up there, the concentration of the drug, the content, how much is in each vial, and the storage condition, okay, product code, so that, and then lot number. So by looking at the product code and lot number, you may understand if it's a real drug or placebo. So you can track the batch and identify active or placebo, which one it is. By looking at the lot number, you can understand these two. And the case of number of quantity vials and caution, limited by federal law to investigational use only. Okay, I should say that if it's used for clinical trial only. And the sponsor, what company is doing this, company's address, if there's any emergency to contact with, maybe QR code, and then the number. So that may be what your clinical drug label look like. Commercial manufacturing label, which is different than clinical trial label. Every pharmaceutical preparation must comply with the labeling requirements established under GMP. The label should include the name of the pharmaceutical product, of course, the name of the active ingredient, international non-proprietary name, okay, should be used wherever possible. The amount of the active ingredient, okay, and the suitable dosage, volume, and volume in the container, powder injection, all those things, and the batch number, like we saw in the clinical trial label, similar, and then expiration date, the date of manufactured, okay, and then any special storage condition, of course, handling precaution, of course, direction for use, warning and precautions may be necessary. For example, that the product has been used together with a final filter or something like that, direction, the name and address of the manufacturer, how to contact them, and where applicable, the information on added antimicrobial preservative if there was any added. Okay, so it may look like this. See, drug name, and then active ingredient name, concentration, in maybe 10 milligram per milliliter, which is same as 1 milligram per milliliter. So either way, communicate it. Okay, and how it should be used: IV use only, and 10 milliliter single dosage vial. How much is in this container? Sterile isotonic solution, it says. Okay, prescription only, manufactured by Teva parenteral medicine. That's a California, Irvine. That's their address. What company that is? Novosin, the supply company of HVA company information. And so each milliliter of drug contains 1 milligram of either uracil hydrochloride, okay, USP, and 25 milligram glycine. So what's in there? Okay, so that first one will be the active ingredient. Okay, storage condition. Okay, and how to store that, what temperature condition, and away from the light. Okay, warning: possible severe cellulitis, vesication, and tissue necrosis can occur if during the administration. Yeah, the possible side effect is listed there. Okay, so that's the commercial labeling. Okay, and then non-binding guidelines and recommendation for label design. Okay, so this is not binding, but it's a recommendation that FDA suggests. Principal display panel. So like the previous case, proprietary name and established name if there are different nomenclature used, and the product strength, okay, route of administration, we saw that, and then warning condition, okay, so those should be used, and text size and style, and FDA recommends these as well. Choose a font that is easy to read and then not lyrated or condensed. So these are kind of hard to read. And the number of published references recommended a large font size such as 12-point size, and sans serif or Arial type fonts are preferred, I guess. And then FDA recommends the use of at least 12-point fonts whenever label size permits. Okay, and then Tolman lettering. Okay, we'll see what it means is, see, although it's all the same, capital letters, but Tolman lettering means some part of the drug name is larger, taller than the other. Okay, that's because there are drugs with similar names, starting with maybe aceta and aceto. They look kind of similar, right? So to make sure the difference of the drug, the part that's totally different gives a Tolman lettering, so people can clearly understand they are not the same drug. Okay, so these similar letters in different established names are placed in uppercase letters to avoid to aid in differentiation, to avoid confusion. I guess that's what it means, difference between the two. So that's what Tolman lettering recommendation is. Okay. Now avoid confusion, especially abbreviation. If you use a lot, certain abbreviations like acronyms and symbols are dangerous. Okay, they should not be used. Example is like what? Microgram, you have to spell it out as microgram, or MCG. Okay, this should be mistaken for milligram. So milligram, if you use MCG and MG, they look kind of very similar, right? So you have to use a separate, easy to understand writing. Okay, so mistake. So you may use this. Okay, and you may use that, so they look different, right? So mistake can also result from use of the abbreviation, symbols, and those designations whose meaning is non-standardized and or unfamiliar to the healthcare professional or other target readers. And the product strength, ensure that the product strength stands out. Use consistent unit of measurement. Okay, for small volume parenteral drugs, list the total quantity per total volume, followed by the concentration. Total quantity, total volume, so there's about total volume is 10 ml. The active ingredient is 500 milligram in there, but concentration is, if you simplify that, of course that's 50 milligram per every single meal, right? That's how you want to label it. And then if total volume is less than 1 ml, do not list the concentration value in milligram per ml, because that's misleading, because it doesn't even have a 1 ml. So do not use that. That's what it means. Okay. Expiration date, recommended format. Then use clear, I guess, expiration date. So you should use 3-letter month and year, 4-digit year. That's better. Okay, or 3-letter month and the 2-digit date and 4-digit year. That's what you want to do. So if you see Jan 01 2015, so January 1st and 2015, that's how you want to read. So it's a little tough to understand if you have 6-digit numbers combined here. Okay, but I guess this may be better. Okay. National Drug Code Number. Okay, so NDC means National Drug Code Number. So each drug product is assigned a unique 10-digit National Drug Code Number. Okay, that's 3-segment number. 1 segment, 2nd segment, 3rd segment. So total is 10-digit number. So when this number is displayed on the label, it must be clearly differentiated from other products of different strength or different drugs produced by the same manufacturer, to avoid any confusion. So understand NDC. Okay, so the first 4-digit is a labeler. Okay, and then next 4-digit is a product code. Okay, and then the last 2-digit is a package code. Okay, so that's what this 10-digit number stands for. Okay, and then next, QR code. Okay, these days most of drugs have these QR codes, right? This scale shape, 2-dimensional matrix barcode. We're talking about that. And the FDA has not yet developed the formal position or the use of a QR code. Okay, it's recommended that they appear on the side or back panel of the container label. Okay, the QR code should not compete with or distract from the presentation of important information. So what it means is, although you may use a QR code, you should not use the QR code for general public. So you should still provide all necessary information. They are separate. That's what it means. Okay. Color differentiation. Okay, so differentiate products within a same manufacturer product line. How do you do that? Maybe you can use different colors. Differentiate strength within the same manufacturer's product line. Okay, if we use multiple strengths of the same drug, you have to be able to differentiate that using different color. Highlight certain aspect of the label, especially warning information, using different color again. So color coding. So